Hey everybody, this is RJ with 60 Grit Radio, joined as always, or as almost always, by Kevin, who you guys know well by now, I would think,
Hello, everyone.
and Mono, who I don't think you've done a 60 Grit with us. Or wait, were you on the last roundtable?
I sure was.
Yes, you were. I couldn't remember if that was a BDG or not.
Might have been a BDG. No, actually, that was 60 grade. That
Okay.
was a 60 grade.
Okay, I got you.
Yes, it was. Okay, yes, this is Mono Replay Recycle. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, world?
Check him out on Twitter at Replay Recycle.
Or at So Full of Shit
With a Y.
with a Y.
We will put. We actually have
SHYT.
in the YouTube here. We have the links to his Twitter, and then we are also joined by Nate, and he was on one of the first 60 Grits, if I remember right.
What up, homie?
You were playing Bernie's Devil Advocate, if I recall, way back when it was still the primaries. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
That was a lot of fun. That worked out well.
I don't know about that, but
Nathan, of course, does shadow play. That's right?
I kind of, yeah. Well, the past week and a half or
Of course,
so.
that's right.
Well, the past week and a half or so has been, technology faults and kind of been occupied with Cubs World Series. So, that's
We're
what
used to your
happened.
excuses by now, but they can get you on Twitter at shadow play, right?
SPP Investigate. 'Cause
SPP
Shadow,
Investigates.
Shadow Play was taken.
I got you. So when you are actually working, they can find you there.
Yes.
Perfect. Right on. Well, we appreciate you joining us tonight, and same to you, Mono.
No problem.
We were talking a little bit earlier, and I asked you to hold on to it because I kind of wanted to delve into it because I've been trying to talk about this for a while, and believe it or not, Kevin really didn't have much perspective to offer on the subject.
Okay, what's up?
So we were talking about a little bit about BLM, but it wasn't just BLM. We were talking about. You said you were going to make a note of it, I think. So hopefully you can recall. But we were talking a little bit.
Yes, BLM and how the music today reflects the perception of people of color, or black people.
The perception of or their perception?
Well, the perception of, because we see what's on TV, so it's pretty much the perception of.
So, just to make sure I'm clear. So, essentially, like, let's use me for example. That the rappers that I see on TV, that affects the way I look at all black people.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. For the predominant white male.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Not even just to rationalize it as the white male, because the perception of the black male is an aggressive. Well, just for everybody.
Right.
Just
Right.
know. Okay. Black Lives Matter is it's supposed to be a positive movement for revolution against police brutality, equal rights, equality, and the perception that's used to the public, or the perception that's played to the public, is that it's just black people out there just rioting and making all this noise. Now, I'm not saying that's not happening, but here's where that perception may come from. Music. When you look at music, what do you typically see today?
What
Just
genre
both of you
music?
guys.
What genre music?
We're talking about hip hop today.
When I see hip hop music today,
Yes, and be straight up.
I see a lack of a moral compass, for lack of better words, for sure. Definitely pushing. Basically, dog with the biggest bite wins mentality. Might equals right kind of mentality. But you see a lot of child abuse in those kind of sects of society, so it makes you kind of wonder if it comes out of that. Because we were talking about child abuse on the last,
The last roundtable.
yeah, it was a bad dinner guest roundtable. We were talking a little bit about that. It makes you wonder if maybe that brought some of that in there. And a glorification of money, but not money through the easiest way to get to money. That is what is glorified. The shortest route to money is what is glorified. And I can see that from friends of mine, it seems like, that are into that genre of music, seem to always be looking for the quickest way to a buck and have really short-sightedness. And I don't know if it's related or not, but it does seem kind of weird to me. And maybe that's why you've seen that genre of music kind of go downhill, just as far as quality goes. Because, I mean, they're pushing the easiest product to make the easiest buck if they follow their own mentality. But I don't know. What do you...
What do you think of?
So, above all else, I see a lot of bravado and violence. To dive into that a little further, to touch on some of the things RJ said, what are the repetitive themes? I see a lot of attractive women. I see a lot of expensive cars. I see guns or references to guns. I see, like, as far as the bravado goes, it's sort of what RJ said. It's just there's a lot of flexing, for lack of a better term, where I can see what you're saying as soon as you made the argument that that can give the wrong perception if you're looking at it from someone outside of that culture and think, well, this is what everyone in that culture aspires to be. I mean, that's a very narrow viewpoint, but we do deal with a lot of narrow viewpoints in this day and age. So I can see exactly what you're saying there. I mean, there's a lot more that you see with that, but that in general, I'll let Nate touch on it if he'd like to, so I don't take all the talking points.
Well, my main point, and I just want to speak to the music part of things here. You know, a lot of you have touched on it, but you see a lack of substance, of actual good substance. Just to throw like two examples out there. The 80s, even some of the early 90s, you had people like Public Enemy, just, as a big example there, NWA, talking about, things that have affecting their view of society, such as, police brutality in the case of NWA, things they see with their own eyes throughout their own life. And now, there's not substance, there's not a story behind it, there's not real life things behind it. I mean, you touched on it with the women, the money. Say what again?
Got Money didn't have a storyline to it. That was my jam.
What getting money or something? Because I can't say that I've heard that song.
Well, that's my jam.
Well, I can't even which
Take it out of your pocket and throw it. Yeah, I'm on.
This away, that away.
Yeah, that one.
Oh no.
With T-Pain?
No, that did not have any substance.
No.
Actually, that was just a good song and was played repetitively, which made you think of that. But that was not good substance. But Nate, man, good point, man. You hit it right on the point. Like when you refer to Public Enemy and NWA, actually having a meaning. You can even refer to the '90s music where Jay-Z was talking about his Brooklyn upcoming and how he had to make it through nothing. Him and Nas basically talking the same stories. It was just a different way. But now today, you don't have any substance. There's nobody talking about anything. It's Eminem admitted.
Well, I can't. I can't say 100% exactly, but I feel like, because I've heard, and I don't necessarily listen to him. This is from talking to some people.
Not all music today, but
no, I was gonna say, because I thought Kendrick brought some stuff to the table.
Kendrick, J. Cole, Big Crit, Currency. It's a whole slew of underground. Now let's make that clear. Underground hip hop that really, if you want to be real, saves hip hop.
There's some people that I like that are definitely mainstream. Kid Cudi.
Cudi's really good though.
Run the Jewels.
He's more than just a hip hop artist.
I got you.
I know this is a little off
Yeah.
topic, but I feel like Dilated Peoples bring some to the table.
They do, and they do, but dilated peoples is
yeah.
more underground than commercial.
Yeah.
Once again, underground hip hop saves hip hop, which brought me to what I was about to say. Nate, I appreciate your addition to you. Kind of helped what I was going to say. The commercialized music of today's world is the predominant perception of black people today, which reflects why you hear riots, you hear people, or you hear CNN or Fox reporting about riots going on for Black Lives Matter. And they what they might report to you at the time might be a particular incident, one incident that happened at that time that happened nowhere else but that particular person, that particular place, and they use that and magnify it to make it this one thing. Now, I'm not saying that happens every time, because there are ignorant people out there who try to portray that they are part of the Black Lives Matter, but they're just mad because the government assistance is taken away, just to be honest. And there's some sort of, it's a disadvantage for them. I mean, I've been there.
They feel like they're owed it, though. There's that mentality.
There is that mentality. That's what I'm saying. Not all people are for, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way or any way. I'm just saying that to some people are just fakes. They're not really there for the movement. It's a positive movement. It's something to uplift people, not degrade, not show your ass, you're not out there trying to shoot somebody or start something that we know is not going to be effective. You can't be effective beating somebody's ass or shooting somebody or beating up somebody's equipment or houses or property. That's not effective. But that's not the whole of Black Lives Matters. That represents the 20 or 30% that's magnified.
Who's magnifying? The media is just magnifying that 20 to 30%, and there's a bunch of other Black Lives Matter events happening that they're just not showing, is what you're saying? Or is Black Lives Matter working politically and we're not seeing it and they're not talking about it?
Well, politically, what do you mean?
Politically, like actually, instead of just blocking traffic or breaking into stores or, disrupting peaceful people, are they actually trying to work within the system? Are they actually out there gathering votes for maybe a ballot initiative, or are they working within the system to get people elected that are anti-police state? And that's what my problem with Black Lives Matter has been the entire time. There's been no leadership within the movement. Just like ISIS, anybody can claim the name. Just like Anonymous, anybody can claim the name and act. And what that shows me is there's no central leadership to the movement itself, and because of that, the only actors that are doing anything are the wild ones to get media attention, because you need organization to get media attention otherwise. So if you're not going to act crazy and do retarded shit, then you need to organize and get people together in a movement with actual people showing up, with actual points that get airtime, not just somebody cussing out a reporter. And I've seen a lot of YouTube videos of Black Lives Matter with like 15 people at them, rallies, and generally it's still somebody making incoherent points, screaming about white privilege keeping them down, and basically either talking about entitlements or talking about microaggressions, or basically what's the word I'm looking for when it's built into the system? Not inherent, but basically intrinsic.
Integrated.
Okay, either way, built racism that's built into the system, which is true, but they blame it on all white people. And that automatically turns off the system.
Okay.
And if somebody was leading the movement, you think that they would make the movement more inclusive, and less about the white devil, which is how it gets portrayed in the media for sure. Maybe I'm missing.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you a question, Nate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Kev?
Always.
Okay. If there's 40 people telling you that you're talented, and there's one person telling you that I don't know, your knees, you have a history in your family that your knees are bad, you might need to get that checked out. Who are you to believe? Are you going to believe the 40 people telling you that you're talented, and you've been on you have a whole family line that shows you're talented, or you're going to believe the doctor who says that, or that this one person that says that you have your knees are bad and it's inherited in your family, and it's a possibility that you might, more likely, you have that rare disease.
Um, I don't.
Just off of that question.
Off of that specific example, off of that specific example, I would probably tend to go off of the majority, just because of the fact that it's a genetics thing. That you would, yeah. But in a more general sense, I don't know if you're going for the self-doubt thing, because we kind of see that already, something similar to that in our day-to-day with when you talk to people and they end up somehow what we do or any facet of it gets brought up. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times you get people that are supportive, that follow you, that think it's a great idea, but every once in a while you get the people that will say, oh, well, good luck. I mean, it's really hard to do something like that, or, especially maybe not so much with podcasting because people just don't know about it. But for instance, with film, I hear it all the time. Well, it's really difficult to make a film, and those are the ones that stick with you. You can have 40 people, as Mono said, tell you you're great, and then that one person that doesn't like it and is really kind of specific about how much they don't like it. That's the one that sticks with you. That's what I think. But I attribute that to you putting part of yourself out there. So I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit, and I'll hand it over.
Okay, Nate.
Re-ask the question. Oh.
Nate, go ahead. Can I get your opinion? I have a point to this, by the way.
Okay, I was curious.
Okay.
I think in this specific situation, and you said you may not have it, but it's genetic and it's likely, correct?
Yeah, it's a recessive gene that you have, and it's a possibility more than likely that you will.
Well, in that situational, normally if you for sure had it, I would listen to the doctor there, but you take your own risk in your own hands, and if you're listening to these 40 people that say you have talent, you're great. Even with that possibility of you possibly dealing with, a issue down the road, I think you take that risk, knowing that. Now this situation, it can have
A right answer. It can have two right answers, honestly. And if you were to take this situation and put it in a different type of situation, and for some reason I can't think of another example, you could end up with the opposite answer, and that would be correct. So I guess it's in this specific situation, I would probably go with the 40 people telling me the things and take the risk about the issue. But you could have the opposite answer and be, in the same boat in another situation.
So are you going for the 40 or are you going for the?
I'm going for the 40 in this specific
Okay.
situation.
All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. Can I get you, RJ?
Always follow the evidence. That's like I've always had high anxiety, so I've always just had to turn to whatever the logical solution is rather than whatever my head or heart feels with it. If the doc says, and he's got a degree, and all of my family is managers at Little Caesars, I'm probably going to take the doc. But with your example, they can just test to see if that gene's.
They've already did.
But then wouldn't they know if it's going to?
Well,
in this
it's
situation,
a high probability.
Okay, it's just high probability. I would still. Do I have any other talents?
You're very talented.
With a lot of things.
You're very talented.
So I have more than my knees.
You're very talented.
He doesn't want to say I have more than my knees. So I'm going to believe I have more than my knees, and I'm going to listen to the doctor.
Okay, and I like that. I like that. Now you are the minority. Okay. The point being is 60% of America, and this is proven, 60% of America is either more likely unsure of black people or
Wait, what?
60% of America, 60% of white America, white
Okay.
Americans, and this is no divide or anything. 60% of white Americans are unsure about black Americans.
What does that have to do with knees?
Okay, no. Listen to how I'm relating it. Okay, I'm saying that because out of the 40 people, hold on, let me sip my beer real quick.
Does
I
this
see
tie
where
into
you're
extra
going with this,
muscles,
but
or-
I'll let you explain
No,
it.
this ties into the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay, out of 40 people, those I related that 40 people to just regular white people. If it's 40 people telling you that, oh, this black people, never touch them, don't be around them, they're not good, they're this particular person, they're this person, they're this being, you're gonna end up believing that. Your family's gonna raise you like that. They're gonna teach you.
Okay.
It's gonna keep going. But there's that one person, that one friend that can affect you and change you. It's that possibility. Or you had that choice to believe your mom and dad, who's the majority of people do. Okay, so that understanding, along with the 60-40, what I was relating to, 60% of white America is unsure of black America, which is why I brought up the perception. Mm-hmm. The perception of black people and how we are seen in music videos and YouTube or even today's world. It's just they're unsure. The perception exactly is all they know. And then there's that 40% of white America who's diverse and understanding and positive. They understand that this is America. We're divided, but we're united, and we're different nations. It's different nationalities. It's that people that understand. So I'm saying Black Lives Matter. They're for the positive. They're trying to bring that minority of 40% to understand, like, look, we've been going through this for a very long time. We need your help. So this is our standing. And you brought up, where's the leadership? Where's the people talking? Well, we do use T.I. We do use Meek Mill. We do use Rick Ross, Jay-Z. We do use...
You just named crack dealers, murder, thugs,
no,
people that glorify all of this shit.
I know. This is what I'm about to say.
Okay, sorry.
These people... Okay, American Dream. What is the American Dream?
A
Smoke
house
crack
2.5
and get
kids,
high.
right? Well, yeah.
A lie? Can I? Is that on the multiple choice?
Good job.
But what
That
is the lie?
No. RJ, go ahead. Because
it's like 2.5 kids, a dog, and a four-bedroom house.
who told you?
That's
See,
what they
that's
measure it. No,
that's
when they ask that question on a survey, they actually have an answer to that question that you just asked, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know they do, but
Yeah. And that's what do most people dream of having. It's like 80 grand. It's
wife,
not a whole lot of money.
house,
Yeah.
and a lot of money.
Not even a lot of money.
Nate,
What's
the American Dream?
like American Dream?
Yeah.
Basically, in my opinion, it's you get to do what you want, regardless of anybody's opinions.
Okay. Donald Trump,
That's
right?
basically about it.
How did Donald Trump make it? Donald Trump made it doing it how he wanted, right? So how can you get mad about our leaders, the leaders who are the black community? They somehow have made it. I mean, Donald Trump made it the same way. That's just one
Donald
point.
Trump made it the same way as
I think
who?
we're getting off the subject, but that's just one point. Go ahead.
Who did Donald Trump make it the same way as?
I'm just saying he made his way, cheating his way through taxes.
That wasn't cheating. First of all,
How wasn't that cheating?
you're talking about the fact that he hasn't paid taxes for the last however many years, right?
Yes.
So he had a casino in Atlanta at a very bad time to have a casino in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
They take a lot of startup capital. You have to have a lot of capital on hand for a casino.
It was not just Atlanta, by the way. Go ahead.
What?
It was not just Atlanta, by the way.
Well, the money that he got to claim on his taxes as a loss, and if you make a significant loss on your tax,
$949 million.
if you make a significant loss, you can actually take the return on that lost capital, or not the return, but the tax break from lost capital. You can take over a series of years. That's what he elected to do because obviously he didn't owe that much in taxes at the time that he got that. It's not even a break. It's literally a business mechanism. Like, you need the ability to spend capital and it fail without being taxed on that capital. Otherwise, your failures cost more. And if your failures cost more, you're less likely to risk. And risk is what creates the iPhone. It is what it is. Risk is what creates Facebook and Twitter. OBS that we're running this on, it's what creates Google. Nobody knew if these were going to be successful. These could have flopped. To this day, Amazon is not turning a profit. That's risk. They need money behind them to do that kind of thing.
They just did the same thing.
What?
I'm just saying they did the same thing.
Amazon did what same thing?
No, I'm saying the rappers that you said were crack dealers and still.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm not even saying I'm anti-drug war. I'm pro-legalize all drugs. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I'm not that. I'm legalize weed. That's it.
Well, I'm a libertarian. Legalize all drugs. Anyhow, what I'm saying is that these same people that you're saying speak for the Black Lives Matter movement sometimes also glorify these same behaviors that the perception at large, in your opinion, I don't even think it's the perception at large, but that it's the same people that influence the perception of these groups of people. And, like, I don't even, like, you said that people, like, in their families tell people that blacks are dirty, don't touch blacks, all of that. So that doesn't even really get any more. Does that really get passed on in families? Or is that just, are people this,
I've been
do
told
people
that
believe?
three times by the same, these are my friends. They tell me.
Okay. How many friends do you have that haven't told you that?
I mean, I'm not understanding.
What I'm saying is you have 3 friends that told you in their families they heard these things.
No, they've been raised like that. Yeah.
I got you. How many friends do you have that weren't raised like that?
What do you? I'm not understanding.
How many friends do you have that weren't raised to believe that blacks are lesser than whites?
None of my friends were.
None of your friends were raised to believe that?
No.
All of your friends were raised racist?
No.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm not understanding
you said
your question.
3 of your friends were raised racist.
They were raised to. I'm not saying that's necessarily racist. I'm
to
saying
believe that
that's,
blacks are less than it's
okay
racist.
Then. Okay.
So they were raised racist.
If that's what you say, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's what they told me how they were raised.
Okay. How many of your friends weren't raised that way?
None of my friends were raised that way.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 3 of your friends were. I'm sorry. I'm lost. I'm confused. Either way.
No, okay. Do we have an understanding?
I don't.
Because I can clear for you, bro.
I'm lost.
Okay. Look, 3 of my and again, this is undisclosed, but 3 of my friends, what they told me, like, they were raised that you were not allowed to hang around black people.
Okay. How many of your friends were raised to where you were allowed to hang around black people?
All of them. They were
all of
raised
them, but those 3.
I mean, they were white. Yeah.
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 So all of them, but 3 of your friends were raised that way.
Yes.
That seems like a small group of, like, people out of all your friends that were actually raised that way, right? But I would. You're saying 60% of Americans are intrinsically weary of black people, but only 3 of your group of friends were raised that way.
Those are all white friends I had.
What?
Those are all white.
Yeah,
people
3 of your white.
So
friends.
it was 100% of the white friends that you had?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
Never
okay.
mind.
We got that
makes more
cleared. We
sense.
got
I'm
that
sorry.
cleared up.
Yeah, that's what I
Thank
was
you,
trying
Kevin,
to tell
for
you.
swinging in there. So 100% of your white friends were raised racist.
Yeah.
Or in my opinion, that's racist to believe that. But with those views, all of your white friends were raised.
They aren't racist personally.
Yeah.
No, they aren't racist personally.
Yeah.
They told me this personally how they were raised.
I got you.
And how they.
It's
became
their
friends.
family background.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically,
Yes.
is he's the point he's making.
Yes.
Were you raised that way, Kevin?
Well, no, but again, I am.
I w-
I'm
I'm
Yeah,
just
an
thinking of
outlier
all of
here.
My friends.
My mother's oldest sister, a little backstory on me. Before my grandmother was married, she dated a black man. She had a child with a black man. So my
Yeah, so his
oldest
story
aunt
is different.
my oldest aunt is mixed, and 2 of my cousins are mixed because my aunt when married another white man. So it's
it's
I
different
was
from the
raised
others.
since I knew how to speak, and especially raised in the small little podunk town I
Kevin's
was.
low-key
I
black,
heard that word a
so
lot.
That's
Right.
kinda,
But when you walk through the neighborhood now, are you part of that 60%? That is, you would say, is intrinsically, like, what's the wording you used? How did you
unsure of black,
unsure of
black Americans.
of the people that you pass on the street that are black?
No, absolutely not. But I also work on a different, like, I'm just more
anybody in
situationally
this room is.
paranoid. For instance, I don't care who you are. If it's 2:30 at night and I'm thinking to myself, I shouldn't be walking around here. If I see anyone, white, black, old,
Right.
Asian, I'm gonna be a little creeped out. I might walk across the street just because, like, unless you're stumbling home drunk from a bar, there's really no reason for you to be walking around my neighborhood at this hour, unless you're, you know what I mean. But that is an instinctual thing. Whereas, like, I kind of don't know where that
That's
comes
what I'm
from.
saying. It will be for us to ask it in this room. I don't think any of us feel like that. But when you walk outside, this is popular opinion. Now, this is
I
just,
don't know anybody that believes this.
bro.
I don't know. I mean,
Well-
take that back. I do know people that are racist. I do know people that believe that blacks are lesser than whites. But of everybody I know,
Well,
it is maybe
that's it.
half
But-
of a percentage.
That's it right there. That's
Can I-
That's going to
can I-
exist forever.
Nate,
There's
Can I-
people
can
that
I
are
s-
afraid of, in a second, there's people that are afraid of Muslims. Okay? It's no different to me. There's people that are afraid. There is a significant portion of
That's
Americans
what I'm
right now
saying.
afraid of
They're
every white person
unsure
out there that
about
voted
black
for Trump.
Americans, bro. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
just saying that doesn't really mean anything to me.
To
Because
you,
people are unsure of everybody.
to you.
Okay,
You are
I've
not
got
the
a good
public
point, and
perception. Go ahead,
Okay,
Nick.
go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead,
I'm
Nick.
sorry.
Okay, you saying that, RJ, it reminded me of this point. I know some people that, that don't know anybody that's racist or anything, and then they hear these things and, they're like, whatever about it. Like, just because you're not seeing it and it's not prevalent in your life doesn't mean it exists. And I mean, you're a smart dude, don't get me wrong. This
it
brings
exists.
up a point.
I do not want to
Yeah.
say that it doesn't exist. I grew up in southeastern Ohio. It definitely exists. I hung out with people that I'm not even friends with on Facebook anymore, that we used to be pretty tight of friends because their family was so racist we ended up getting in arguments. Like, it is a thing that exists. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but we were talking about the media earlier spinning these same tales about all black people being represented by Little Uzi Vert or some other guy, I don't know, Jay-Z or somebody glorifying
Nah, not
gang
Jay-Z.
violence.
They
Yeah,
definitely not.
well,
Yeah.
Okay,
but the thing is, my point remains though. I mean, for example, you had the Trump. She was a county like head of of Trump, whatever, in Ohio, I believe, and she's like, "Oh, we didn't have racism until Obama took over president."
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's
are you?
what I'm
like,
getting at is that's the person that the media talks about, but she represents just as small of a segment, if not smaller segment, of her category of the population as these rappers do. But the same media that is pushing the fear agenda.
You can't.
And the reason is to divide us. If you're afraid that every motherfucker on the street is actually racist, it puts that divide in your head. And that divide sells. But they're selling you fear. That's what sells.
That's what I'm not. Listen, RJ, I'm not disagreeing with you. Well, I am partially disagreeing with you, especially you are not. You're the 40%.
I understand that.
Okay, your thinking is the 40%.
I think that 40% is larger.
No, it was supposed to be, and it's just been proven.
Then how did Obama get elected? And yeah, I'll say
Because-
with a majority vote. With a majority vote, that is more than 40%
Okay, listen.
voted in Obama. So how does that explain?
Well,
Twice.
hey,
Twice.
but to be fair, what was the voter turnout in total? Not just of people who voted. What is the voter
It's like
turnout?
30% at any given time.
Okay, so yeah, so
But 40%
not a
of
majority
that
of
segment, how many people were actually polled for this survey?
like 5, 4.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at, though. We know it wasn't
know.
3 million people.
But listen,
Well,
I understand where Nate is going with that, and honestly, he's coming from a more demographic side of the point. But to stick on the topic, bro, uh, it's a bigger perception that's put out there that it really at this point it really isn't hard to see. There isn't a white line that you're looking. Excuse me, a black line that you're looking over. It's as transparent. It's right in front of your face now, and the
What is?
60% is referring to the people that
What's right in front of my face?
prove racism. What's going on? It's right there. It's right there.
All right.
I'm not saying. Go ahead, Nate.
yeah. I feel. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel this point exactly will help make your point. You know, people will have been getting all upset on either side when a black man is shot by a white officer, whether or not it's been justified, not justified. I'm not going to go into that. But then you have had a rash of white Americans killing white officers, and I don't see anybody freaking out in the same way that they do when it's a. I mean, I know that's a little different,
No, you're
kind
right.
of, but
You're right.
you don't get the same reaction from people that you get when it's a black man involved.
What, when a white guy's killed, you don't get the same reaction as when a black guy's killed?
N-
Is that
no.
what you're saying?
Well, no, when a black person has been involved, whether they have shot and killed an officer
Oh, okay.
or they have been the victim, it is not the same reaction as a white person killing an officer or being a victim. Because and also I want to point this out too, and this goes into more race than black, but you had the protesters in Oregon who got off scot-free for that whole situation, and then you have militarized police going to Standing Rock and dealing with peaceful,
Those are two completely different
nonviolent
movements that don't
protesters.
have anything to do with race.
And which Oregon movement are you talking about where they got scot free?
The Bundy one.
The one where
except for
Bundy
the
one.
guys that died
the-
that
yeah, I
didn't
was
get
gonna say,
talked
except,
about.
Well,
except
yeah.
for the guy that got shot dead.
I
out.
was
Except
gonna
for
say
the guy,
that
yeah.
same parallel that like
The
when
rest
a
of them
black
are
guy
okay, I
fucks
guess.
up, like glorifies or doesn't glorify, but the same one that talks all day about when a black guy fucks up talks all day when a white officer shoots a black cop, as in comparison to a white officer shooting a white guy, and that's a fact. It just is. They definitely talk a lot more when a black guy's shot by a white officer. So I don't know.
Well, but my thing is though,
The police
Just,
state is
uh,
racist. I'll definitely admit that all day. I don't
Okay.
think
Okay.
that the population as a whole is racist. And the reason I think the police state is racist is because that's where they know the criminality is. It's easy tickets. And not by they know the criminality. They've made these people criminals. So this guy has a warrant over a drug crime. This guy has a ticket he hasn't paid, so we can pick him up on that because they know the poverty's in those neighborhoods. I'm not saying it's racist but when then you're involved in those neighborhoods, so you're constantly having police involvement with these populations, of course you're going to have more instances of violence because you're having more confrontations. And
That's
just,
not necessarily true.
well, it is.
It isn't.
What?
That's more stereotype than actually true.
What's the stereotype?
Well, the fact that you assume that there's already something because it's poverty.
Well, there's definitely more crime where there's more poverty.
Well,
There's the only crime that doesn't seem to separate between poverty is drug crime, but it's prosecuted more there because, like I was saying, they generally know when they go there and they pull you over, they're going to find something to get you.
okay, so
for.
when they're there, is that so? You're also
And you
telling
can't
me.
fight it.
So you're also telling me that's like a bait shop.
What's that?
So you're also saying that,
hood?
yeah.
No, I'm
Wait,
saying
that's okay. Go ahead.
I'm saying there's probably, because there's poverty there's probably a dude driving on a suspended license, or there's probably a dude driving that doesn't even have a license because he can't afford to get it. There's probably somebody that has a fucking
But-
parking ticket that they haven't been able to pay for months.
Right.
Well,
that's
And they're
what I'm
there,
saying.
right?
What?
And they're there instead of other shit.
Well,
The
my
police are
point.
there?
Yeah,
and-
because it's easier to get that.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
saying.
But
That's-
hey,
It's
but,
classist
but
more than
why-
racist.
but
that is
RJ, why is
racist, man. That is
RJ,
I
what?
live here, and I get trolled by them for the same
No, you
reasons.
okay? When you get pulled over, what did
Yeah,
they
I've been
say to
searched
you?
4 times in the last 6 months.
Okay, probably Well,
Sir, step out of the car.
You're
Sir,
not.
please
you're
let me
not,
see your hands.
You're not. Man,
Do you want to know how many times I've gotten in
RJ,
arguments
RJ.
with the cops? How many times they've threatened to arrest me?
Probably.
that you're not the majority.
Okay, I just get pulled over.
RJ, I know, bro.
Kevin, didn't you get arrested for flipping a cop off?
He's not the majority.
That is correct.
In this room so far, he is.
He's.
Out of me, him, and Nate,
We are not the majority. We're
I
not.
think if you
That's
pulled
why
more
we
of
can
your
have
friends,
these
if they've had
conversations.
bullshit with the cops,
Hey,
I think you would find out more.
RJ,
Yeah.
I just want to point out, and this has to do with like selling drugs and stuff.
Yeah,
Blacks, black people are more likely to be arrested for selling or possessing drugs than whites, even though, mind you, whites use drugs at the same rate.
that's why I said the
per
only crime that doesn't seem to separate between poverty areas and non-poverty areas is drug crime, because I was saying whites use drugs at the same rate. Rich neighborhoods use drugs at the same rate.
Who do you think we're selling to?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. That doesn't parallel, but your
Let's
stupid
be
fucking
honest.
things like, and that's a stupid fucking thing to me too, but your shit like driving under
But the-
suspension or things like that don't exist in those neighborhoods as much. So even if you don't have drugs in those neighborhoods, they know if they troll you, they're going to find something else more than likely. That's what I'm saying. But
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Why is it okay? I mean, we are a police state in a sense, but why is it okay though to go trolling for these neighborhoods
I didn't
to
say it
get
was
the money
okay.
instead of? Okay, that's
I just
all I
didn't
wanted
say
to
it was
hear.
based on race. It was based on being able to get these hits.
That's what I'm saying. You said it wasn't racist. That is racist. There's other shit that you
He-
could be doing.
Oh, yeah. I agree there's other shit they could be doing. I don't think they're doing it because they're racist. I think they're doing it because that's where the
Exactly.
easy tickets are.
Okay, if that's the easy ticket, and that's what you said, and they know that,
Yeah.
and they could be doing other shit.
Being an easy ticket isn't being a race. Yeah.
Okay.
But we are moving. We definitely are. I think he's coming over on Saturday.
Okay.
Not to like make the sausage here in front of the people. This is a discussion I definitely want to continue. There's nothing but love here, at least from me. So I want to continue this and feel it out. Maybe we can do that on Saturday because I want to get into Trump's first 100 days.
Yes.
I didn't expect this to take so long. I like
Most
it.
definitely.
But that would be cool. I don't know where you're going to be at.
Most definitely.
Right on. We will definitely continue this. Maybe we can get Jor-El and Rico in here.
Yeah.
And just get a full BDG roundtable on it
Yep,
because that'd be
yep,
fucking
yep.
sweet. So definitely, if you're listening, guys, check that out. Hopefully, you can make it to that. Nate, you're gonna be in town, right?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be getting in there Saturday night.
So much
All right,
podcasting
bro.
going to happen this weekend. I'm excited.
Yep.
I really am.
Let's get it in.
But no, we're going to transition here to Trump's first 100 days. So Trump got elected. I'm going to guess you guys were as surprised as me. I know Kevin was because he was in the room with me when he got elected. I called the shit before Pennsylvania was finished with. And then like an hour later, they finally were willing to call PA.
Yeah, that is true.
I just want some credit.
Yeah.
I pretty much thought as soon as he got Ohio that it was probably going to happen.
Yeah. Did you guys think they were going to... Everybody seems to talk about a group of people like controlling everything. Did you guys think that Trump was going to be allowed to win the electorate?
No.
No, not initially.
Kevin was definitely looking for your answer here.
Yeah. I didn't think so. I didn't think that. I thought he was too anti-establishment for that to be able to occur. But I mean, I'll probably dig into it a little bit later. But I kind of can see. I know you mentioned on Twitter, RJ, that the conspiracy theorists would be pretty much all done now because the whole system being rigged thing would be thrown off by Trump. But
Right.
as a little minor, like I said, I don't want to. We don't have to dive into it right now. But there is always the possibility, like, what would cause people to yearn for? Like we hear all this revolution talk already. So what if, like, deep down, like the actual behind the scenes move was to get Trump elected, so people would question democracy, and we would maybe end up in some European Union like state, or start to, because there are people out there that look to get rid of borders and look for a one world government. That's no question. That's usually not what the conspiracy is. The conspiracy usually is that those people might have bad intentions. There are certain, like for instance, in David Rockefeller's memoirs, he says there is a so-called secret cabal that is being accused
Didn't
of.
Obama cite that as one of his favorite books?
Yeah. And so he says, and if that is the charge, then I am guilty. So in his mind, we have to remember, like, in certain people's mind, that's the right move. No boundaries, one government, everybody's on the same playing field. And so, if you're a conspiracy theorist and you're looking at that lane, you might be thinking, well, a Trump presidency is really going to cause some change. Look at all the protests we've seen already. Look at all the calls for violence I've seen just on CNN in the last 24 hours.
And what are these protests about?
Not my president. A lot of the chants I hear were "fuck Trump." Like, this is CNN, and they're normally trying to censor themselves. They're just standing there, just recording it, letting it go.
Oh, they didn't even beep it out?
Nope.
That's hilarious. Nate, what was your thoughts? What did you think was going to happen? Were you watching it live?
Yeah, I was watching it live. For the record here, I'm not a fan of Trump or Clinton. But
Samesies.
but for some of my positions and things along those lines, certainly with Trump, and especially with his running mate Pence, and now the fact that they have control of the House and control of the Senate as well, there are some social issues that are very important to me and some people close to me, that it's not looking positive. To say the least.
Can you specifically? I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. It's mainly out of my own ignorance, because I know Pence has had some homophobic views and said some homophobic things, specifically about being able to change gay people through shock therapy, I believe. But
gay conversion therapy.
What's that?
Gay conversion therapy.
Yeah,
is what the technical term is.
I'm glad they termed it. That makes it easier to say. Gay conversion therapy. I like it. But has he made it a part of his platform that you know of? I mean, when he brought Pence in, was it for his stance on the issue of gay rights? Because otherwise, Trump's been clearer on gay rights than Hillary has.
I think a lot of it for that, though. I mean, and this is based on some gut feeling too. A lot of it would be pulling that evangelical vote, the far right vote, because Trump, his actions in the past, through marriages and things along those lines, stuff that has come up, such as say what you want. I'm just gonna put this out as an example: grab him by the pussy, all that fun stuff.
Okay, he didn't say grab him by the pussy in a speech. He said it in a private encounter on a bus.
Okay, yes, I understand
do you
that.
honestly
but
think that matters?
Yeah. Oh, I've said so much worse shit.
No.
Oh, yes, I have.
Well, yeah.
Okay, even if you said it so much worse shit, do you think that matters, just the fact that he's saying that and he wants to be your president?
Yeah, no. John F. Kennedy was a president.
Okay.
Bill Clinton was a president.
Okay, Bill Clinton didn't say, or he didn't.
We don't really.
He did actions, but
he did actions. He didn't say.
But the thing
dumb
is,
shit.
though. But RJ, before I continue, why is it okay? I mean, yes, that stuff's happened. It's in the past, but why is it okay to continue having a representative, whether it's through actions or through things they have said,
Frankly,
to continue doing that?
Saying that if you're rich, women let you grab them by the pussy is that crazy. Mainly because I would have voted for Kanye if he would have ran. And I'm pretty sure he's probably said something similar. Kevin's giving me dirty looks because he would never vote for Kanye. He might even vote for Hillary before Kanye. But to me, what he said there was basically consensual. Sounds really bad, but it implied a consensual act. It didn't imply an aggressive act or an act.
But
I don't know.
I've
been on a date with a chick and you slip a finger in her vagina. It's not. You know what I mean? To make it as clinical as possible.
I mean, but
okay.
If you're
but
running
that-
for
but that-
If I'm with
president,
Kevin and I'm like, yeah,
you're
sometimes I
running
just
for-
grab a girl by the pussy.
okay, all right, you have that mentality. So does he.
Mhm.
Okay, that's your president running for the United States.
Right. Yes, I didn't support him, but not because
There
of that
is no
statement.
excuse for that, though.
Why is it okay for Clinton
Listen, okay.
to laugh about getting a
okay.
rapist
It's not
lawyer
okay
off?
Just
for
the fact that
Clinton.
he's at the same mentality as you,
Right.
that shouldn't be okay.
What do you mean?
Grab her
He
by
should
the
be above
pussy.
me?
But
Grab her by the
but-
pussy.
He should somehow be
RJ.
unhuman?
No, I'm not
He should
saying
be a
he's not
free-
human. I'm saying that shows you where his mentality is, and he wants to run for
He's
your
a
president.
He's a bro.
He what?
He's just a dude.
But why? But here's the thing, though, RJ. Like, you know,
And in
was
that
Bill
moment, he
Clinton
was in
running
the
for
character
president?
of a dude, not a president either. He wasn't acting in
hey-
the office. Are they supposed to be
But-
presidential all the time? Or is there a time where they get to let go? It was a hot mic on a bus. It wasn't a speech. It wasn't a letter to the editor. It wasn't something that was. It was in a private conversation, joking with the dude, laughing before you're about to go to an interview, like you want to pep up the mood there. It was two dudes talking about getting laid. If you haven't said words, every single one of our presidents has said something along those lines or something just as offensive.
Exactly, something along those lines. In other words, along not
R-
grabbing by the pussy.
RJ, I will paint this picture for you. I know, unfortunately, I know a handful of women who have been victims of, you know, rape or sexual assault.
Where did that
And-
line advocate for rape or sexual assault?
Where is it advocating consent, though? That's the thing. There's
They
no
let you?
consent.
They let you? Not you force
There's
yourself
no
in there. Not I make them. Not I force them on the ground and grab 'em by the pussy. When you're rich and you have money, they let you do it. That's consent.
That is not consent whatsoever.
Oh,
Just
then
be-
I've never had.
That's
Every
not
girl that's ever
consent.
said I
And
let
you
her
know
have
that's
sex
not
with-
consent. That sounds really.
That sounds really rapey.
I came on her face. She
sorry.
let me do it. Okay? Sometimes when I'm having sex, I like to blow a load on her chest. She lets me do it. Is that not implying consent? Seriously, though. We're all in a room having this conversation, and none of us are.
Just the fact that you.
Well,
you-
we're in two
you think
rooms
that
having
it's
this
okay for your
conversation.
president to say that.
I
That's-
want my
that's
president to
crazy.
be just as human as everybody else. And
And-
somehow,
and he's 70, right?
now he wasn't when he said it.
That's it. Okay, he 50. 50 something.
Do you not want to? I hope I'm grabbing pussy at 50, consensually. I really do.
That's still the president that you want.
I hope I run for president and grab a shit ton of 25-year-old pussy at the age of 50. I really do. Poor Kevin over there. What's wrong, Kevin? Because we're gonna get in these 100 days.
I
But
want
what's
Kev-
bugging you?
Come
I
on,
need to
Kev.
know.
Come on, Kev. Say what you need to say. Say what you
There was a
need to
reason I had the
say.
microphone pushed away. I didn't need to say anything.
I
So
know,
now
but
you guys
I'm-
are
I
putting me
need
on
to-
the spot.
Yep.
You making so yeah.
I'm-
Let's compound our mistakes here.
Yes.
Say
Please.
what you
Next
need
time
to
I'll
say.
put a sign up that says "Don't call on me."
Okay. Thank you. Please do. I wanted to know what was frustrating you because
This entire conversation is
Oh,
frustrating
okay.
to me. I just
Just
I
heard
don't
it
even
too
know.
many
I don't
times.
even know where to start with it, to be honest. Yes, too many times. B, we are past that point. So this is a conversation that maybe should have been had a few months ago. But you have what you have. So us arguing about whether or not it's okay is, I don't know. I guess
That's
it's a
what I'm
good
saying,
it's a good
that-
exercise
yeah.
in venting. But you have what you have. Phonetically, as far as grammar goes, to clear that up, the word "let" would imply consent. To clear that up, I get where the argument is coming, but again, to me, that's the entire problem. This entire election, all of these debates, including this conversation, has been driven almost entirely on emotion. I'm hearing a lot of emotional responses, and that's the part. That's really the frustrating part to me, because that is why we are where we are, because politicians, it's not their fault. They play to the lowest common denominator. Well, what is our lowest common denominator? You've clearly seen it.
Yeah.
It's uninformed emotion.
I got you.
And that's where I'm at with it, and I'm angry at both sides.
So please drop the mic. I do appreciate that, and I know you're mad at me for calling on you, but that is why I called on you, because you've been stewing on it, and I know you've probably had that exact sentence that you just gave running through your head like 50 times. So you were going to have it ready, and it was going to be well spoken. And we are where we are. Trump's going to be our president unless some crazy shit happens. He's given us this 100-day plan. I want to go through it. I want to see if this 100-day plan, because this is his actual plan. This isn't emotion. This isn't speculation. This is what he said he wants to do in his first 100 days. So you can be really clear through this here. I mean, we can agree or disagree on whether it's going to happen. There's the rule in politics where the politician's only going to do the worst of what they say and their promises. But we can at least go through this a little bit objectively and see if there's this hate in it, which there probably is. I do believe Trump at the end of the day is a little bit bigoted just because he was willing to be a bigot to get that early electorate vote. And I think that was necessary because bigots tend to turn out to be the primaries.
I would like to say one thing before you we continue on with this.
Right on. Before you do
If
that,
this
are you
tells you
looking at us on
anything-
YouTube?
I am still in the Google Hangout, if that makes
Right
sense.
on. Bring up our Bad Dinner Guest Twitter feed, and you can find a live link to us so you can see these as we're talking about them. But go ahead while you're doing that and give your point.
I just want to say that as much as I'm very not happy with Trump for various reasons, I don't want him to die anytime soon because then Mike Pence would be in the presidency, and based on his governorship in Indiana and his views, that would actually be 10 times worse than Trump. So that's all I want to say about that.
I got you. Yeah, no doubt, and that's a very good point. For everybody out there hoping Trump just drops dead, that would be your worst nightmare if you think all of this bad shit's going to happen, because then you are going to get the guy that thought shock therapy would fix gay people, which I don't actually want. But are you there? You're on your way there, if not. So his the first step in his plan is, what is that? Propose a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Now, I think I've heard you bring up term limits, Kevin, for congressmen. Does that, first of all, he's being portrayed as a fascist, and second of all, everybody is terrified he's going to try and take ultimate control of the reins. I don't think this points in either of those directions. He's basically trying to end this kingdom.
I have been on record as saying that if this is the system we have to play with, then I would prefer term limits. I think I know that we've been at odds on that before, actually, but my thought process being that it shouldn't be something you can live off of. I think that you hear the example all the time, like, why shouldn't school teachers make as much as politicians? If you want to, I think being a politician should be, a low paying. It shouldn't be a job that people would gravitate to for its control and for its money, because it should be incredibly temporary, and it should be sort of a service thing. And that way you get more of the people that tend to do social work. You get more people with that mentality running for office, because they're not
The kind of people that would never say something in a locker room because they want to run for office and be that guy that is pure. The same guy that wants to be a preacher for all the right reasons.
I guess. Someone that wants to do it almost as like a sacrifice and not for personal gain.
Right.
Because you've taken the personal gain away.
Yeah. Ultimately, that would be awesome. To me, again, I'm not for this, but I think the mentality behind it is the appropriate response to the situation. So he sees this is the moral response, if anything, to the issue, even if it's incorrect. I think the heart's in the right place there for it.
He's setting it up like a business.
It is. At the end of the day, I've said it on here. The government is a business.
Picking up who he wants and firing who he wants. That's why he wants the short terms.
Nate, I think you would like this one because you were a little bit on the Bernie bus.
Think about the show.
I don't know if you're seeing it yet, but propose a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I actually, not only do I have the YouTube thing pulled up, I also have an article,
Okay,
a
cool.
fact check article about this stuff. So, I'm I've got it to look at here, but propose a constitutional amendment. I'm actually a proponent of that. I realize Bernie's been in the Senate for like 26, 20, some more than 20 years now, I think. But I don't think, at least my belief is, I don't think people who have been in there that long tend to do the best work for people. Now they're outliers, but yeah.
I feel you. We'll move to the second one here. A hiring freeze on all federal employees to reduce federal workforce through attrition. This exempts military, public safety, and public health. So basically, most of the government this exempts. What does that leave to? I guess NSA and shit like that. But that's probably public safety. What the fuck does that still?
So what that? I mean, I think it might leave a lot. Actually, like I
No,
think
it's public
you could
safety.
see a lot of like no more clerks getting hired. Your BMV lines won't get any shorter.
Is BMV not public safety?
Oh well, I see. When I hear public safety, I'm thinking more like that's going to be firemen and police officers.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I got you.
Especially when it's followed quickly by or when it quickly follows military.
Yeah.
And this one's a scary one to me. This one's kind of mono what you just said. This is when you said that the idea of kind of getting rid of dissent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. If you look at his whole plan, he's setting it up as a business. Remember, I
Well,
asked
this
you
isn't he can hire and fire anybody. This doesn't even bust
look at the setup. The setup is just it's all short term. It's all short term. He's
Well, this is a 100-day
exempting
plan.
everybody except who he wants to, so he can have full control over what. It's not just fitting for him. It's fitting for his Republican Congress and his Republican House and his Republican Senate. That
Well,
he's
yeah, this
setting
is
up.
conservative as fuck for the budget.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay, I
all
thought you were more
fitting.
of a-
It's all fitting as more of a business thing instead of more of a. They're trying to get more powerful through money.
Okay, so you think this?
He's setting it up just like
Um,
what's the show he had,
The
The
Apprentice.
Apprentice. He's setting it up just like that. He's picking the most powerful people and he's letting them go one by one. Starting weakest.
I don't
the
really see
strongest.
that rule doing that. That's
I have some stats on federal employees here if you guys are interested in listening.
go for it.
There are some 2.75 million civilian federal employees as of November. I'm not going to mention the Postal Service thing. The number of federal workers has remained fairly stable during the Obama administration. Is in fact as low as it has been since the mid 1960s. The federal workforce did grow early on in the Obama administration, owing to increased hiring at departments of Defense, Homeland Security, and Veterans Affairs. Exempt public safety employees from a freeze, and if he wants to hire more immigration and customs enforcement patrol officers based on his immigration positions, it's probably unlikely he'll be unable to shrink the federal workforce much through attrition, as retirement rates typically averaged 3.5% a year, according to a Government Accountability Office report. However, that report says next September, 600,000 federal employees will be eligible to retire.
Okay. So essentially, shrinking it through people just dropping out and people having to suck up jobs. We already know how huge of a. You've been to the BMV. You know the bureaucracy of it. Somebody has to send a sticker beside them to get stamped beside that person, and then a third person hands it to you. To me, yeah, when person A and B retires, I don't want that job getting filled. That's fucking sweet to me. I'm aces with that. I don't see why you wouldn't be aces with that. That's where all your fees come in there too. You're paying those people's salary through your fees. Would you not want to see?
There's something else behind it. I think it's really something else behind it. But anyway.
I got you. Third, a requirement that for every new federal regulation, 2 existing regulations must be eliminated. Now, you guys, with the conspiracy theorists there, what would you guys think? I don't want to paint you all as conspiracy theorists, but I've already made up my mind what that means to me. So, Somebody, Kevin?
Well, I hate being referred to as a conspiracy theorist all the time, but all right. So
I know you're gonna hate me by the end of this. Kicked off the network.
a requirement that for every new federal regulation, 2 existing regulations must be. I mean, it doesn't.
Does that sound bad to you? That's basically all I'm asking.
I mean, it
What-
doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't sound. I mean, there are plenty that I'm sure need to be eliminated, but to me, that's not really a solution. It just seems an odd thing to do. Like, why not just get rid of the ones that are unnecessary?
Well,
Why
here's
is
the
it?
thing. Congress and the Senate, we all know once a law is made, it generally isn't changing. We've known that for years. I mean, the Constitution was supposed to be gone over every so many years. Everything from the top up, most bills are written to be gone over, and then they never are. And they just stack up. And we know that for a fact. And we know that the books have only grown, they've never shrunk. What this does here is it makes every senator and congressman know that if they want to pass new regulation or legislation, that they have to look at the books and find 2 laws that they don't think need to be there, or President Trump isn't going to sign it. That they themselves have to go through the books and reduce the amount of regulation and legislation on it to pass stuff. So it basically puts a tax on him. It puts a toll on him. So it's going to stifle the amount of shit that's proposed to him. And on top of that, it's going to reduce the size of the books by every time they take 1 step forward, they take 2 steps back. You know, so essentially the same thing with the attrition. They're just letting it happen organically. Not even like it's not, to me, that is not authoritarian. That is leaving it up to Congress and the Senate to take care of this. That is our elected representatives on a more local level. So there's nothing fascist about that to me. There's barely anything authoritarian about it to me. I don't see how that's not good for the economy and good for governance. You're rolling your eyes, Mono, but why?
I'm not sure that's just it. But I mean, I haven't done any detail.
I got you.
You know,
And we all are skeptical of the guy. I've said from day one that I don't like him. You know what I mean? I think he's a statist, and I think he's nationalist, and I think that he wants a power, no doubt. But just by what he says he wants to do, I want to go over that objectively to me. And just assuming, because yeah, we definitely have that distrust. I don't think that most of this will happen, if I'm being honest. But if it does, would that not be cool? Or would you not be cool with that? Because why?
I'm gonna tell you what I think. First of all, I'm unsure because the amount of power that equals he has everything is there for him if he wanted to.
Yeah, he was handed a lot of control.
Yeah, I mean, extremely amounts.
I got you.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't seen this amount of
Well,
control.
we know he was handed by Obama the ability to imprison indefinitely an American citizen without charges. We know he was handed that. He was handed the ability to go to war with any country that has a quote-unquote terrorist in it.
You said he was handed the ability to hold somebody for life?
Indefinitely. And that law was created by Obama. Now, Obama went on to say that he would never use it
What level
on a
was that
domestic
on?
foreign citizen. But it could be a foreign citizen that's abroad under Obama. But the legislation allows for domestic or foreign. Obama just said he wouldn't use it domestically. Back me up on that, Kevin. Am I off? Because you know this law too.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, there are. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but there are a number of people in Guantanamo right now that don't have any charges.
Right.
There's no charges on them, but they can't be released. Which
Exactly.
is one of the reasons why Guantanamo won't be closed or moved. They have these. I forget the term that they use, but there's basically, for lack of a better term, leftovers where they're
Yeah.
like, we don't know what to do with them, but they have to stay here.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. You can be held as long as it's terrorism, as long as it's terror related. Then you can be held indefinitely without
That
trial
makes
or
sense.
cause.
That makes sense, but
It might make sense,
I
but
could
how
be
scary is it?
terrorist
Like
tonight.
you could be labeled a terrorist in the future for what you say on a podcast. I mean, we've seen people be arrested after the Dallas incident. We saw people get arrested for their tweets because.
Here's what we've seen. We've seen a son of a guy labeled a terrorist, bombed in a foreign country, murdered. Never had any terrorist ties other than being born to a guy labeled a terrorist. And what was it that Obama said about it? It sucks to hang out with that crowd of people or something like that. Basically, the most unempathetic response you could possibly have to the entire situation.
Are you sure that he wasn't more informed than the people were, or whoever said that information to you, or wherever you read that information?
With how bad it looks, you better release that information because it's over with now. He's dead.
I mean, I'm
So
saying, like,
if there was anything behind the scenes, you would definitely release it in that situation. Just otherwise, it's only damning evidence against you, and there's no reason to cover your tracks on a dead man if you know something that threatens the population you're supposedly protecting. Other than he's just the son of the guy, therefore he could have the voice. But the thing is that the legislation allows them to detain you just for being labeled a terrorist indefinitely with no charges. So just because they hear something you say, and they could, we see it in other countries where you say something that sounds completely fine. It sounds completely dinner table talk, and they're like, "You said this. Does this mean this?" We see it all the time in foreign countries. Why are we safe from it? But what I'm getting at is Trump's been handed this power to do it, but it was signed and created under Obama, not even Bush. That's all. I wanted to point that out. And the reason I want to point that out is because one of his points later in this that we're going to get to. So we're going to move on here. Fourth, a 5-year ban on White House and congressional officials becoming lobbyists after they leave government service. So this is trying to end that open door between the Senate, Congress, and lobbyists, is what it's trying to do. In my, that's unbiased to me. That's how I see it.
that is the most biased thing. You just said they're trying to stop. He's just trying to stop them or any other party from taking over.
No, I think you misunderstood what it was. He's trying to keep Senate and Congress from once they retire from the Senate and Congress, because you don't get paid that much to be a senator or congressman.
Okay.
Where you make your money is when you leave the Senate or Congress after you've made all your friends in the Senate and Congress. You leave that and become a lobbyist. And these lobbying firms pay you a lot of money to lobby your friends. Or while you're a senator, these lobbyist firms aren't allowed to pay you money, but they can give you a job later. So once you retire, they're like, hey, pass all this legislation while you're in office. We obviously can't pay you money now, but when you get out, you're going to be a CEO making $500,000 a year, and you just come to meetings, and those meetings are parties. That's what they do, and that's what he's ending, and that's a revolving door we all know about. Nate, am I off?
He's setting up his people. I don't know.
I don't know where he's going with that, RJ, but I'm okay with that.
I was going to say, that sounds pretty Bernie to me, because he wanted to end the same thing.
I understand what the point of lobbying is, but I've never been a fan of lobbyists, especially because a lot of legislation will also get other things as well that get thrown in there. It's just
this makes them have to at least wait 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can't put an open ban on it.
I'd be okay with a complete ban, but, you know.
Yeah, I understand that, but... Fifth, a lifetime ban on White House officials lobbying on behalf of foreign government. So you can't lobby for Israel anymore.
Yeah, this is what I was.
Thank God.
You don't want. To me, you don't want a foreign government lobbying your congressman or senator. I don't want Israel backing my Senate. I want Ohio backing my Senate. You know,
I thought it was quite embarrassing when the what was it, House of Representatives or Senate had the Israeli Prime Minister come in and give a speech. What was it, a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
That whole situation was just quite embarrassing.
Isn't it funny that basically Trump here is putting a ban on that happening, and that was a Republican ran Congress or Senate, whichever it was. So this is the party he's backing. He's basically saying you can't get away with that shit anymore. I like that. I really like that. Six, the complete ban on foreign lobbyists raising money for American elections. So again, you can't have somebody donating to the Clinton Foundation and that money getting transferred to your coffers for your election. I kind of like that too. I don't want Israel funding my election. I don't want Russia funding my election. I don't want Mexico funding my election. There's no reason to me you would want a foreign government involved in your election fiscally. If you're for a democracy, which I'm on air saying I'm not really for a democracy. But if you are, do you want a foreign government involved?
No, I don't have a problem with either of these. No, at face value.
And this isn't a ban on a foreign government coming to us and lobbying us. This is a ban on our own officials lobbying. So the Prime Minister of Britain can come over here and lobby us if he's going through some shit over there himself, but he can't have an inside track with people that have inside tracks and have them do it. I like that a lot. A complete ban. Okay. On the same day, I will be. This is where I think we're going to lose some support for him, but I also like some of it, and some of the Bernie supporters might as well. I will begin taking the following 7 actions to protect American workers. And anytime it's protectionist, I'm terrified. I don't like a protectionist agenda. I don't like a nationalist agenda. But first, I will announce my intentions to negotiate NAFTA or withdraw from the deal under Article 2205. So this is straight out of Ron Paul to me. This is get out of NAFTA. I love that. This is free trade, it might not go free trade. It might go different trade deals worked out.
Once again, business.
But yeah, business is already in there though. That's what NAFTA is. We're already a part of it.
It's so set up as a business platform, just like Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's what government is.
I'm not saying that's bad.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make a point about people in the Rust Belt specifically, from some articles and stuff I've read, and just things I've heard, passing by people, and actually from clients. Some people lost a lot of manufacturing jobs, whether it was through NAFTA or other things, and one of the reasons for voting for Trump has to do with here with NAFTA, and trying to bring back manufacturing jobs. But the thing is, those jobs are never going to come back, though.
Never is a long time. Never is a really long time. So they could come back once there's a return on the initial investment in the overseas factories. Depending on how well those regulations were worked out, that could be quick, that could be slow. It really doesn't take that much time to buy or build a factory or buy one anymore when they have the bankrolls they do. If over the long haul, it's going to save them money. So if they're distributing more cars through North America and Canada than they are through Mexico and South America, it would eventually make sense for them to bring those manufacturing jobs back because shipping would be cheaper. Again, I don't know how far out their ROAs are on those investments. I haven't looked into it. What I can say is I think GM just announced 230,000 jobs or something like that, basically 2 days after Trump won the election. So what does that tell you? That they're willing to hire manufacturing in America under a Trump presidency? That's a good sign to me, especially knowing that he didn't get a whole lot of outside contributions. So maybe that's just them seeing a chance for, because of regulations lacking and because they're an American-based company and NAFTA is going to go away, wanting to create some jobs here. Wanting to basically have a good public perception, even if it's only that. That's not necessarily a bad thing to me.
Once again, business platform.
Exactly. He's a businessman.
He's closing up the United States.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what he's going to do with NAFTA. Maybe. But to me, open trade would what NAFTA's done, and what Nate was saying some of his clients have complained about, is that NAFTA closed America off to some trade, and that's why the jobs left. What this could do is open back up some free trade with America and not make it profitable for them to take their work down there.
Right.
Possibly.
But it leaves him with full, he gets the option.
No, he gets to negotiate and sign, but Congress and the Senate have to agree to these. Okay. So he can't do whatever he wants to do. He just basically has veto power.
Congress.
But yeah, he does have the ability to negotiate them, but Congress and the Senate cannot comply. So he doesn't have.
Well,
Wait, has a.
I haven't. Go ahead first, and then I'll say something.
I was going to say he does have a majority in both, but it's not a majority that supported him through this election. That's for sure. Did you have something you wanted to say before I move on to the second one?
Yeah, it's off of a 538 article, economic article here. Since NAFTA took effect, U.S. has lost more than 4.5 million manufacturing jobs. Another point I want to point out here is whether or not those manufacturing jobs could have been saved. They aren't coming back, at least not most of them. How do we know? Because in recent years, factories have been coming back, but the jobs haven't. Because of rising wages in China, the need for shorter supply chains, and other factors, a small but growing group of companies are shifting production back to the U.S. But the factories that they build here are heavily automated, employing a small fraction of workers they would have a generation ago.
Yes, but it would bring.
So,
It wouldn't be
but
the same amount of jobs, but it would bring jobs back. Are we saying they're not automated in Mexico? Because they
well,
are.
but labor costs are a lot lower that you're going to get in Mexico than you're going to get in the United States.
Yeah, but when
where is
the
this?
cost of importing those goods rises to balance that out, that's where the jobs come back, and that's what they were saying. Shorter supply chain there. That's what that's talking about. They needed a shorter supply chain because of the rising cost of labor in China. It was, even though they still don't pay them $8 an hour or $10 an hour, it was still cheaper. It was cheaper to employ them until the cost rose, and then they had to move the jobs over to Mexico, where we know they make more than the Chinese. Just because of a shorter distance to ship. Same thing. Second, I will announce our withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Same thing as NAFTA, except he's completely trying to withdraw from it instead of negotiating it. So,
but we haven't passed it here in the U.S. though.
Okay. See, I didn't know much about the Trans-Pacific
At least that was
Partnership.
my understanding.
Did you know much about it,
As far as I understand,
Did you?
we're
What'd you say?
not as.
Did you know anything about the
Yeah.
Trans-Pacific Partnership?
Wasn't that part? No.
Are you talking to me?
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't have a camera. No, I was talking to Mono. Cool.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. And you're coming back Saturday, so this will be cool. Fourth, I will direct the Secretary of Commerce and U.S. Trade Representative to identify all foreign trading abuses that unfairly impact American workers and direct them to use every tool under American and international law to end those abuses immediately. Some context for this, I believe it's talking about China's currency manipulation, which everybody's talked about under the radar because they don't want to upset the markets. So they don't want to talk about it because they own so much of our debt. If their currency goes wonky, our currency might suffer because of it. That's why you don't see China directly. You do see them referenced in this, if I remember right, but you don't see it talked about in depth as far as the consequences of it. But to me, it's something. It's a fiat currency out of control. Is what the China's doing. Did you have anything to say about that, anybody? Or
Oh no, I still need to read it over this. I still need to do some detailed reading.
I got you, Nate.
Kev.
Kev.
Yeah, I'm probably on the same boat there.
I got you.
Speak to it too much.
I love this. As a libertarian, I really like that to call them out on the currency because it's going to get people looking into the fiat currencies. And it definitely doesn't help our markets at all, and it just screws with everything. It's not good. Fifth, I will lift restrictions on the production of $50 trillion worth of job-producing American energy reserves, including shale, oil, natural gas, and clean coal. So basically, he's going to lift restrictions, but he's going to put a cap on that lift. So these restrictions are already in place. He's going to put place a short-term lift on it with a cap of $50 trillion in capital. I don't really know how you're going to do that.
I don't think it can be done.
Yeah, that's one of those promises that it makes you wonder if that's going to be one of the ones that isn't kept, for sure.
Well, I don't agree with it because I think we need to invest more in alternative forms of energy.
Yeah.
Because I think that just talking about what is clean coal? Like, coal is not clean. How do you make coal clean is my question, because there's no such thing as clean coal. unless you talk about less polluting coal, and even in that case.
Yeah, you're not entirely wrong there. I do like that this isn't a what's the word I'm looking for when you basically pay somebody to do something on top of doing. What is it when you give them a little extra cash? So for every mile railroad, I'll give you $25,000. That you,
A bonus?
not a bonus, but so
Incentive.
not that either. This is what too many Rolling Rocks do. Um,
Okay, so
a stipend, not a stipend, but it's basically it's a mechanism that the government uses in order to like
subsidy.
a subsidy. Thank you.
Subsidy,
Yeah, this
subsidy.
isn't a form of a subsidy. I like that. This is the lifting of a restriction with a cap. So this isn't the government or the taxpayer paying any extra for this energy exploration and that kind of thing there. This is simply just lifting restrictions that are already placed on the economy. As a libertarian, I love it. As somebody that supported Bernie Sanders, I can definitely see this being a negative to you because you probably would lean more to wanting these industries handicapped, I would guess. Right, Nate? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, just because, and this is also based on what I do for work too. I've had a couple of clients. There was, I don't know if Kev remembers this, having lived around here, but around like Linton, Farmersburg, things around there, they actually produce coal. There were a couple of coal mines down here, decently big coal mines, but that has run out. Coal emissions. I can't 100% speak to that, but there's some negative consequences from that. What emissions are made of.
We should get into this more on Saturday, but those clients of yours that the jobs have dried up, they have to know that one of the reasons those jobs have dried up is because that natural gas has been so heavily subsidized by the federal government that it's now cheaper to create. But if it wasn't being subsidized, those coal jobs would exist. Does that not? That I don't know. I don't know that I could like have.
Well, no, but also but these coal mines down here are drying up though. It's not a matter of subsidy.
I'm looking more toward West
How
Virginia.
much-
I forget you're over in Indiana area.
Yeah,
I was thinking more the West Virginia, Southern Ohio line where the coal's there. It's just not cost effective to get to it right now. My apologies.
that's all right.
Okay, so they're number 3. I would direct my Secretary of Treasury to label China a currency manipulator. I somehow skipped that one, I think.
You skipped 4.
Did I skip 4? Well, I did not talk about them directing the Secretary of Treasury labeling China.
Yeah,
so
you
that
did.
is-
You mentioned 4.
Yeah, you
I
did.
brought that
You were
up.
on 5.
You went
Okay.
from 3 to 5.
Okay, I got you. I thought I talked about 4 and in reference to that China because number 4. 5th, I will lift the restrictions on the production of $50 trillion worth
You
of
just
job-
talked about that.
Okay. Which one did I skip then? 4. I would
Skip
direct the
any
Secretary
of
of
them,
Commerce and U.S. Trade Representatives to identify all foreign trading abuses that unfairly impact America. I read this one and said it was about China. Number 4. I skipped 3. Sorry for the semantics, folks. 6. Lift the Obama Clinton.
Talked about 3 with the current.
Cool. Number 6. Lift the Obama-Clinton roadblocks and allow vital energy infrastructure projects like the Keystone Pipeline to move forward. So he's blatantly saying he's going to allow the Keystone Pipeline to move forward, which used eminent domain. That's one of the reasons I'm not cool with it. So I really don't like that. That's definitely federal government overreach, in my opinion. That is definitely corporations being allowed to use eminent domain. Not cool to me. I'd assume
Yeah, I
not
agree
cool
with
to
that.
you guys.
Yeah, I agree with that.
7th, cancel billions in payments to UN climate change programs and use the money to fix America's water and environmental infrastructure. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's
I love it
counterproductive.
because it's anti-globalist, which is a symptom of the nationalism, which is kind of a cool symptom when we're where we're at with it. So we're no longer going to be paying a useless branch of a useless organization. And instead, we're going to use that money. So you're not even have to create new capital, except for the fact that it's all created capital to fix America. And we have places like Flint, where you have shitty drinking water, and somehow we're paying.
I necessarily don't have too much of an issue with that because he he's focusing on money towards.
Make sure you're talking to the microphone.
Oh yeah, I really don't have too much of an issue with that because he is like, honestly, that alone is focusing the money towards
Us.
America, but at the same time, the global. Maybe a percentage could be put like a small percentage or something, but I feel like that should be a collective thing. So I really don't have an issue with that.
That's cool.
A collective meaning, continent by continent, country by country.
I got you. Hey, found some agreement tonight. I like that. Even on Trump.
Right.
Additionally, on the first day, I will take the following 5 actions to restore security and the constitutional rule of law. Sounds like Austin Peterson. First, cancel every unconstitutional executive action, memorandum, and order issued by President Obama.
It's another attack for Obama. Another attack against Obama.
Well, we were just talking about that legislation, that bill, that law that was allowed to pass that allowed him to indefinitely detain American citizens just by labeling them a terrorist. I don't know that I'm against shit like that getting repealed. Who would be against that?
Well, yeah, I guess.
But on top of that, as a libertarian, I love it. I love it because you could take that clear down to the FDA. You could take that. I mean, if you took out President Obama from it, you could take it clear down to any Department of Education. You could take it as far as you wanted if you removed President Obama from that. So I like the direction that's going in. Right now, it's just President Obama, but we've basically had a series of unconstitutional laws since the New Deal, or unconstitutional executive action. That's just my thoughts on it, but I love kind of taking shit backward.
I guess part of what you said is kind of the issue that I have with it is, yeah, he can kind of just go where he could potentially go wherever he wants with it. And this is a good sound bite. Sounds good. Repeal, cancel every unconstitutional. That word unconstitutional sounds great. But at whose judgment are we then? Are we at another constitutional lawyer, like to reference an example you use, RJ,
Obama.
the Obamacare?
Yeah.
Are we going to trust a constitutional lawmaker
You're
who?
not wrong.
So, and that's where I'm kind of like, well, this sounds great, but
What
in
do you think
practice,
he's talking about though? I think
there's
secret courts and. Or maybe it's just ear candy.
well, I just think, I think there's a reason he kept it vague.
Okay, I'm sorry, Nate.
Well, that I feel like Kevin was touching on this. That's great and all, but
That's what she
who
said.
determines what is who determines what is unconstitutional? Is it Trump determining what's unconstitutional?
That's the question,
Or
isn't it?
is it? Yeah, exactly. So I'm not pushing one way or another. I'm just saying it's not as simple as saying, "Oh, that's unconstitutional."
But here's the deal. Anything that he brings up for it is going to have to be openly debated. Anything that he brings up for it, I mean, there's going to have to be a fight in the courts about its constitutionality. That brings it into the public eye. A lot could go wrong there, but so far all of this stuff has happened in the background. Wouldn't you rather it happen in the public eye? Wouldn't you? I would rather know if more of my friends want secret courts and the NSA than just assume that they don't want these things. So why not?
Well,
bring
the
it up?
NSA can go suck my right nut for all I give
completely
care.
agree. But and isn't it funny that Edward Snowden seems to be pissed about Trump being elected, and Hillary Clinton said openly he should be in prison? Hillary Clinton.
Well, Trump said he should be executed. So
I understand that, but what's the difference? Hillary joked about bombing
well, here's the thing.
Assange.
That though, if Putin, speaking of Russia, Putin wants to improve relations with the United States.
Maybe that's why Snowden's
in that
scared.
case, exactly.
I
You know
feel
where
it.
I'm going with that point there.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
that's
Nate.
kind of
Yeah, I understand. I can kind
So,
of
yeah.
see that maybe he knows that he's a pawn on the table, and if they're trying to improve relations, he might be a pawn that's pulled out. I've wanted Snowden pulled into the public eye now that I don't think he's useful in the movement as far as releasing more information or anything like that. We need a debate about him. I don't think he's going to end up dying in an embassy. I don't want it to wait until he doesn't matter anymore. Right now, enough people care about Snowden that he might get enough, just like the American people basically put a hold on the war in Syria. Maybe the American people in this time of transparency would be for a pardon of the guy that was like the beginning of that transparency. Because if you go clear back, I can almost trace this Trump movement to the workings of Julian Assange and Edward Snowden and those kind of people, the distrust of government and the media and things like that that we've heard conservatives talk about for years, but we've never had hard evidence of. We've only heard them say the liberal left, the liberal media, things like that. But now we actually get to see through emails that they're feeding the Democrats questions and things like that. You know what I mean? So you can draw a direct tie to Trump's presidency and the workings of Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. I don't know that so much that he's enemy number one if he plays his cards right.
Yeah, as far as Snowden goes, just in general, personally, as soon as Oliver Stone made a film about him, he kind of lost any credibility he might have had left.
Right.
I haven't watched that movie yet. I want to soon, but I don't think I'll learn anything about it. I mean, and not any truths anyway. I don't think you get to make a Hollywood movie that would expose anything too crazy. But so there's part of me that I kind of just see Snowden as like a pawn of some sorts or a puppet. So I can kind of see. I could see even maybe not even necessarily being out of fear. I like what Nate said. That is a pretty that was a nice, some nice detective work there, Nate. As far as the connection between Putin wanting to improve relations and I happen to have this little treasure over here that you want.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that Snowden is necessarily on the table here. I'm just saying, there's obviously a possibility there. So.
Oh yeah, and I
we'll
like
see.
it.
Yeah, no, I definitely, that, again, we're finding some agreeability tonight, even between us. I do like that being brought up. I'm not against him being brought out. I'm really not against him being brought out as a pawn right now, just because he knew when he set himself up the position he was putting him in. I want his safety. I don't want to see him locked up in the brig. But I don't think he wants this conversation to wait until everybody's already made up their mind about him.
How about lock him up in the gulag?
Right. Well, that's just it. Here's the deal: if Putin was actually feeding Trump's campaign, if Putin was actually helping Trump's campaign, which we can't even really rule out that he might have been helping Trump's campaign, who was helping Putin other than the likes of Julian Assange and Snowden? So I don't know so much that even if Trump, to get the vote, hated the likes of Snowden, but I don't think deep down like he possibly can. He might still see him as a pawn. But I don't think deep down a Trump that's smart at all can hate on Edward Snowden, just because, again, I can draw the direct line between the two. I feel like Glenn Beck, I don't know, did you guys watch Glenn Beck's TV show?
I watched Glenn Beck.
No.
Okay, he'd have his blackboard out and he'd have pictures hung on it and he would be drawing lines to circles, and I feel like I'm doing that right now to connect the two of them, but I can see a direct correlation there. Where were we? Number 2nd.
Second, begin
the process of selecting a replacement for Justice Scalia. Okay, he's picked 20 guys, and he's going to pick somebody out of it to be his justice. This could matter for reproductive rights, possibly. It could also matter for gun rights. It could matter for drug law. This could matter for a lot of stuff. A lot of people aren't completely wrong when they're worried about Supreme Court picks. But there is 8 other judges. So it doesn't matter that much.
Well, it's not as simple as saying that. First of all, this seat that's going to get filled is obviously for Justice Scalia.
God rest his soul.
Probably the most conservative judge. Was the most conservative judge, and this Supreme Court,
Constitutionally conservative, perhaps.
he can go fuck off too.
Oh,
whatever. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
so
fuck the
that
Constitution.
that's not it at all. See, it's going to be a conservative, whatever, not changing the makeup of the court that much. It's a matter of if Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Breyer and Kennedy, even if they all pass away here during a Trump presidency,
you're not wrong.
they're the ones. Well, yeah, they're the ones. A lot of them, or not a lot of them, all three of them tend to vote, especially for a hot topic issue of reproductive rights. They tend to vote to the pro-choice side of things. Even what's his name? Roberts. Why can't I remember his first name?
I don't know. I can't either.
The Chief Justice Roberts. He has stated that he feels the decision is decided, even though he's not a believer in self. So I mean, there's that possibility, but the fact that he could put 3 anti
We're breaking up connection
on there.
Repeat that. We
Especially
lost
for a lot of
connection
people
there. Say
I
that
know
again.
in terms of reproductive rights. It doesn't just go for abortion itself. It could deal with birth control, Plan B, things along those lines too.
Accessibility or federal funding for?
Oh, well, overall, I think it could deal with accessibility.
I don't know.
For a fact, maybe because a lot of people I don't know how active any of you are in reading Reddit or anything, but there's a lot of people. Well, there's a lot of people in the child-free subreddit that are concerned and are trying to go get vasectomies and all those other things, because I believe some of them are covered under the ACA currently. So they're concerned that stuff would not necessarily be covered.
I'm not necessarily
things like this
that.
happen. So
yeah, I'm not necessarily against vasectomies not being covered by taxpayer dollars.
But the thing is, though, you've had Viagra covered or Cialis
I'm not for
covered.
that either.
Okay, then that I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no. No. I'm at least consistent philosophically. So that's, I think, a bonus for me. Third, cancel all federal funding to sanctuary cities. This is where we see the nationalist side of him sticking through since the primaries, the anti-immigrant rhetoric that he ran on. We see that coming through clear to the presidency. So it's not all just, it wasn't all just him trying to get to that base. I mean, he believes in some of it. Again, I'm not necessarily against canceling federal funding to a sanctuary city because I'm against federal funding of anything. So, yeah, that's cool with me. I don't like the mindset behind it. And I definitely need to be on the record saying that. And I think every libertarian out there that might be willing to back this needs to have that semicolon and then I don't back the mindset behind this getting passed, but this moves us closer to no federal budget. So that's cool. That's just me. I would assume, I'm not going to make an assumption. How do you feel about federal funding of sanctuary cities, Nate?
I mean, this is a tough question. I can't say I have opinion one way or another. My question would be, what federal funding is he going to cancel, though, or withhold? It's.
Are you asking
to me,
if he has the ability to
not,
cancel this funding?
Well, no. I'm asking, what would he withhold? Would he withhold all of it?
Well, it says all. So yeah, I would guess.
Well, yeah. My thing is, though, this is such a bully tactic. I'm not. There's other ways to go about this than dealing just being a straight asshole.
You're not.
That's all
completely
I
wrong.
have to say on that.
You're not completely wrong, Kevin. Do you have any thoughts?
I am, of course, against federal funding of things. Now, granted, I understand some people need some help, but I am more of the teach a man to fish mindset. I think federal funding, when you, I don't like anything that breeds dependency because, again, I think that is how we got to where we are right now. When you allow yourself to have, basically, when you allow other people to run your life and you don't take the time to put in the effort or the concentration. And again, I don't want to come off as cold here. I understand there are circumstances that where you may need some help and all that good stuff. But I think the short-term solutions don't seem to work. So it's not the nice guy answer everybody wants to hear. But at the end of the day, like eventually somebody's gonna have to toughen up, straighten out, and come up with. People need to be able to take care of themselves and not be so reliant on a government at all, and be a little more self-governing. But that's where I'm at. Again, I don't know if I necessarily agree with the reasoning behind it, but at the end of the day, the less federal control, the better for me, as far as my opinion.
Yeah. So if you want to be a sanctuary city, you're gonna have to fund it yourself. You're gonna have to get private donors for it. It's not. I'm completely for it. I can't see. I can see you disliking the bigotedness that may have came along with it, but at the end of the day, it's some medicine we needed, to me. Especially running the deficit we're running. It's not like we have this money sitting there ready to be spent. I mean, I guess you could argue with that, but I'm not about to. Fourth, begin removing the more than 2 million criminal illegal immigrants from the country and cancel visas to foreign countries that won't take them back. So this is him saying, I like this plan because a lot of it is what he's going to do and how he's going to do it, if you know what you're reading, I guess is what I would say there. But, yeah, so it says criminal illegal immigrants. Every illegal immigrant, by definition, would be criminal, I would think. So that is every illegal immigrant. So that's not looking good for anybody that's not here with paperwork. And then in order to make this happen, because one of the arguments is that we don't know where to send them, he's saying, well, if you don't take them back, nobody from your country is going to be allowed to be over here legally.
Yeah.
So you're making your own population criminals. I'm not necessarily against this per se. I'm for open borders, but the policy itself holds up through its own weight. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm not against it. I'm against the policy in general because I'm for open borders. I'm for personal succession. People should be allowed to live where they choose. So it's cool with me for them to do that. But if you're going to do it, this is a way to actually do it. This is him ripping that Band-Aid off. It says begin removing. We all know he's not actually going to be able to do it. And this looks a lot like a police state to me because this is people going door to door looking for illegals. I don't like that.
Yeah, I see that.
So the policy, I mean, it works. I don't like it because it works. This is more of that nationalism, and this is one of the worst side effects I saw in this 100-day plan, is that involves a police state to me in order to do that. Fifth, welcome back. We had some technical difficulties there and lost Nate, so you missed number 4. But basically, Trump's going to round up all the illegals and anybody. Yeah. Okay, so you saw that. Fifth, suspend immigration from terror-prone regions where vetting cannot safely occur. All vetting for people coming into our country will be considered extreme vetting. So I don't know what any of that means as far as considered extreme vetting, but I can tell you that suspend immigration from terror-prone regions where vetting cannot safely occur. You don't have a whole lot of background in general in countries like Syria and Afghanistan. This is basically a hold on every country that isn't first world having immigrants come here because there's no backgrounds over there. I mean, there's no infrastructure for it. these countries don't all have birth certificates. I mean, the idea of it is cool, kind of, if you're for closed borders, which I'm not, but this is everybody that's not first world. That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck, and it's again, it's one of my issues with the war on terror
Yeah.
and with terrorism and with the Patriot Act and all of this good stuff that we have, is that you're really just the right person in the system away from calling you a terrorist or saying you're from a place with terrorist ties. So yeah, you're really just at the whim of someone. That's what separates you. And you mentioned the class thing again. So essentially, what it's saying is, by using the word terror, they're able to keep pretty much any poor people from coming in. I get the idea of taking care of your own first before you worry about everybody else. I wish we could apply that tactic on an individual level. We might actually get somewhere. But yeah, so I have some issues with it, but I don't love it. I really don't. I was looking for a silver lining, but
It's not good policy to me. I'm assuming you probably agree that it's not good policy, Nate.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm trying to get an explanation of what vetting we do for vetting here, but stupid fucking article won't
It's all good.
cooperate with me.
So maybe on Saturday we'll get into the rest of this because it's what he's going to do with Congress. So we'll get into some of that next episode because this is a pretty long thing, and we've already ran pretty long here. So did you have any final thoughts so far on the 100-day plan? Was it what you expected, Nate?
I'm a little surprised that I can find some things tolerable. In a sense, I'm surprised. Then about the crap. Now I can't remember what I was going to say since all that technology stuff occurred. It was about the 2 million criminal illegal immigrants. Yeah, but I can't remember what I was going to say about it exactly.
I got you. Well, if you remember it, jot it down because you will be with us live Saturday in the studio, so that'll be nice.
oh yeah.
I honestly, reading through this, I was not surprised by the nationalist things. I was not surprised by the fact that they were in there or how they would affect us. I was a little bit surprised with how transparent-minded a lot of it was. Now, Obama ran under improving transparency, and Bush ran under reducing foreign involvement. And basically...
Yeah, look what happened.
Yeah, so, again, we don't know for sure that's going to happen, but it doesn't sound extremely authoritarian, and I don't really know how many of the wheels behind this immigration stuff he's going to be able to get turning. Even though he has Republican control in both the House and the Senate, I don't know how much popular support there is for this. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think a lot of the electorate voted for him on these racist views. Maybe the protectionist views of keeping immigrants out. I don't know how many people want the government going door to door rounding up illegals, especially because you have a lot of conservatives that are terrified of the police state that would bring, and the same reason they're against and argue against gun regulation is like you're going to have to go door to door and collect these guns.
Well, first of all, I wasn't going to make a point on that, but that's not going to fucking happen. But my point I was going to make was you talked about people, why they voted for him. I have, and this, I'm speaking for some more conservative family members on my dad's side. They voted for Trump, and their big issue was, abortion. In fact, my grandma and grandpa at one point, this was when Kerry was running against Bush, but they made the point that they were never going to vote for somebody who killed babies. I'm not going to get into that argument, but
right.
They basically justified to themselves that they were going to vote for Trump based on the fact that he says he's pro-life.
I got you.
Now, but he's had all this past history of being pro-choice and whatnot. He's not specifically. He wants to
He's a
or at least
populist.
I've seen something where I want to see. I've seen something where he necessarily wants to leave it up to the states, for whatever reason. I'll have to double check my source on that where I saw it. But,
I don't think you're wrong. I think I've read the same thing. Same thing along those lines. I don't know. Go ahead.
Before I'll finish it real quick. My point is, people will vote for a specific issue, but then they could be the person they voted for is like opposite or not completely true to what they think the position should be. So, it's a shit show, basically.
Yeah, it was a shit show indeed.
That is true.
You didn't really have any final thoughts on this one, Kevin?
It's kind of like I said before. I can't remember if I said it on air, but to me, this is all just lip service. So to me, it's almost. I guess it's good to see what he has planned, but it doesn't mean anything to me because he can't do any of it yet. And even then, so much of it is so vague that until I know the details of how he planned, because that's the thing is the overall idea of some of these topics might be great, but we might find in the actual delivery that there are a lot of nasty things that are involved in making some of these things happen. So I can't stand it one way or another because I don't have enough background information or B, any details as far as the plan goes. So even those things that I may agree with, I keep in mind. This is, I guess the one positive is he's already been elected, so it's not like he's just calling for more votes here. He doesn't need to do that. So I guess it's one step closer towards the real President Trump that we'll see. But again, until he puts his hand on that Bible and actually starts doing something, I'm going to try to stay as level as possible. I feel there's a lot of overreaction going on right now.
Nate?
What would be ironic is what if he used a Quran to get sworn in?
I don't think we have to worry about seeing that.
It's not gonna
a lot of
happen.
people thought Obama was going to do it. And there's still people that think that he did a separate ceremony with the Quran. I've seen that conspiracy floating out there. Kevin, as a resident conspiracy, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm not. He's not going to do it. I just think how ironic would it be? He talked so much stuff about Islamic terrorists and Muslims and stuff, and then he comes out with a Quran to get sworn in.
Yeah,
that'd be the ultimate troll job, in my opinion.
Right. I've had a lot to say so far on Twitter about this, but I would like to say with this so far what we've read, I don't see why there's people rioting on the streets, especially since a lot of this sounds like the same shit Bernie was saying. I don't see the reason for the riots on the streets other than, again, these people have been fed for years, and it's why I kind of feel bad, but they've been fed for a year that this guy is Hitler. So we're all coming into it with skepticism against him.
But the thing is, it's not just Trump, but it's also Pence, and it's also all the social stuff with it's I don't necessarily agree with being violent. I think there will be a point in time where, whether it's to Trump or it's down the road with some other president or some other thing, where necessary to do that. I don't think it's necessarily now.
Yeah.
But I understand why these riots and these protests and whatever else is going on. Right. And I think it's legitimate in that sense.
Yeah, no, to play on those lines, I kind of wanted to close out the episode playing a little bit of devil's advocate for him and just say that I like that there is this many people that think they see a fascist, right or wrong, that are willing to get out on the streets and yell about it. And, we joke about the liberals being pussies and these Democratic kids wanting their safe spaces, but these people, right or wrong, have been convinced that this guy is a Nazi or a fascist or whatever you want to call him, and we see in front of us that they're willing to go out on the streets and scream about it. And I like that even though they need their safe spaces, they're still willing to get out there and protest it. Even if I think it's unfounded, I want to know that there's still a little bit of balls in this population. So it is kind of nice to see that. Well, I just wonder where they were the last 8 years. While all of these people Obama deported more people than Bush. He's killed more Muslims in more countries than Bush. I don't understand where this rage was, but I like to see that it can be riled up on the off chance that they're right about Trump. That's awesome to me that they're willing to get out there and scream about it. It's not necessary. I think it's unfounded, but I like to see my people, at least my age bracket, have a willingness to rise above the man that's put above them. Even if they wanted a different man to be that supreme leader, I want to see that willingness to break out of that system. And it's funny to me that you see them all like posting 3 or 4 states being like the United States of America and everywhere else Dumbfuckistan. But when you talk about secession, they are the first ones to scream about how ignorant of an idea it is to break away from this huge federal union that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you want that? If you think that your California is so much higher and above the rest of the United States, wouldn't you want to be your own area and rule of law? And we need to, as libertarians, we need to be promoting the idea that, yeah, you're unhappy with this. Look how stupid it is that this guy has any say on what happens in California. He lives in Washington. Think about how stupid it is that Bernie Sanders would have had any say on what happens in Pennsylvania. He lives in Washington. Like, we need to promote this idea that, yeah, these guys don't really need to have control of you. Maybe if it was on a local level, we could have more of a local experiment and see if maybe they're right. Maybe all these socialists are right, and they can sway their local region to socialism, and we're all going to see how beautiful it is and do the same thing. But we're not as long as we have an overlord that we elect every 4 years. I don't know. I'm just pro-secession.
Well, I will say there are some positive things that did come out of the election that you would agree with too. The big elephant in the room is obviously, the recreational and medical marijuana that was voted on and passed.
Here's why I like
in
that.
Various states.
Because Hillary didn't get elected, and she wanted to shut that shit down. She wanted to unleash the DEA onto medical and recreational marijuana. So that legislation would have just made more criminals easier to find. And by criminals, I mean criminals deemed by the federal government.
Well, the thing is, though, some of the possible candidates for attorney general that Trump has considered, like Christie and Giuliani, same mold in terms of that. So
yeah, they're not much better, but there's hope.
No.
She's on the record being against it. With him, there's hope. And that's why I was happy. Kevin asked me why I was so happy about Trump getting elected, or I was like less sad about everything than if Hillary would have gotten, because there's still an ounce of hope. Hillary is on the record as a warmonger, a nationalist, in bed with all the corporations and their trade regulations, and in bed with Big Pharma and banning marijuana.
Well, she's a big fan of Henry Kissinger. So if that doesn't fucking tell you anything in terms of war hawking, I don't know what does.
At least Trump, and I've said it from day one, or not day one, I've said it for a while, that Trump at his worst is what we already know Hillary Clinton is. And to me, I'm not that, if we would have already had it, you know what I mean? So we get an experiment here. We get to at least see a chance for him to put a different attorney general in place, or put an anti-weed attorney general in place and override him, because we've already seen Trump doesn't answer to anybody but Trump. So if Congress and the Senate, because we have in 2 years we can flip Congress and the Senate to pro whatever we want. And so then they're going to have to cooperate.
My last point, and I know we're going to talk about this more on Saturday, but I just wanted to make this clear. In terms of Hillary not getting elected, DNC has nobody to blame but them fucking themselves.
No doubt. We definitely should bring that up on. We should talk on Saturday a little bit about what we think led to Trump. I would like to talk about that a little bit, especially because it's been made to look so much about race tonight. I might want to explore that some more too, so that'd be a good way to do that. We are going to wrap this one up. I do appreciate everybody that tuned in and tunes in the future. This was 60 Grit Radio. Check us out at 60 Grit Radio on Twitter. We are on the Bad Dinner Guests Network, so go to baddinnerguests.blogspot.com and check that out, or follow them on Twitter at Bad Dinner Guests. Nate, you're at SPP Investigates.
SPP Investigate.
No S on that.
Without the
one.
S.
And you go and look for ghosts.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind
So
of. Yeah.
Definitely check that shit out. And he will be back with us this weekend for a couple different episodes, so that'll be fun. Kevin, did you have anything you wanted to throw out there?
No, we're gonna have a lot of different shows across the network all weekend, so stay tuned.
Cool. Thanks, guys.